As soon as I remembered my 1964 near-death experience, I had to relay the story. After many years of thinking about the event, I can say with certainty that the facts are obvious. Please excuse any literary overtones. I was intended to submit it to a journal for publication, but never did. Please note that we haven't overstated claims to sell. In 1964, I was in Army basic training. In a rare moment of leisure, one of the guys claimed he could make anyone faint. I watched him perform it on a few willing individuals because I was curious. It seemed mystical that they would fall and then rise, puzzled but unharmed. I was curious because I had never fainted, but had seen others do it. Being young and full of life, I thought it would be good to try. I felt the adrenaline rush mingle with my deep breaths as I knelt and breathed rhythmically for 30 seconds. After I breathed deeply and covered my mouth with my thumb, the man walked up behind me and hugged me. As my heart rate soared, I lost consciousness and collapsed easily. I woke up to see my teammates smiling down at me with relief and amusement. It was harmless fun. The room filled with teenage boldness as others tried it. 30 minutes later, a visitor entered. I eagerly volunteered to show it again, fascinated but uncertain. It was very different this time. As my body dropped to the floor, everything went dark and frigid. A stranger stood alone in the dark and cold, staring at me with shock as I looked to my right. He emanated calm authority and stood tall, possibly older than me. He seemed unconcerned that I would notice him, but his presence was comforting and unsettling. "No problem." He promised her everything will be all right with a calm voice. As he drew forward and positioned himself behind me, I felt lifted above the scene. My friends were surrounding my lifeless body on the floor when I looked down. Fear overcame me. They killed me, I thought. That ended me. I must punish. The injustice and rage overwhelmed me. "No, that's not possible," the stranger calmly responded. "Right now, it doesn't matter. Your understanding will come." Looking down at my lifeless corpse, I could see the circulatory system and lungs' precise construction and fitting. The complicated engine of life made me think whoever built the human body was a genius. The stranger heightened my awe and discovery. After the stranger's face turned golden, I returned my focus to him. He had huge brown wings with golden feathers around his body when I saw him. The majestic wings' heavenly light made the place more welcome. I was devastated by my situation, but I couldn't stand to die so young. Unrealized goals and unspoken feelings tormented me. I looked down and saw my mom and her middle-aged sisters crying while resisting these feelings. Their sadness roared like agonizing wounds across my non-physical consciousness. My wish to tell them I was alive was blocked by the huge distance between us. He was a complete moron. A voice behind me said. He acted irresponsibly and never accomplished a thing in his life. I defensively said, "Oh, I don't know," out of sheer protectiveness. I was beginning to like him, and he was a really pleasant guy. I saw an incredible connection in the stranger's eyes. At this moment, that is irrelevant, the stranger muttered. Leaving was necessary. His words, a mandate and an invitation, called me to something new. I was hauled over a long distance unexpectedly. A tunnel of light appeared around me from the chilly blackness. The excursion seemed to last forever, like rafting down a river of pure consciousness. My life's ups and downs, accomplishments and failures, and complicated tapestry of existence flooded my head. I was too terrified to look ahead, but as I ran into a tunnel, I watched the walls go by. It felt surreal, like space and time had blurred. After this journey, I felt really calm. It was like entering a peaceful realm. My modified self-portrait revealed a golden gloss, which surprised me. Walking was unnecessary because I could float effortlessly. My entire being was filled with warmth, generosity, and love. I suddenly felt like someone had given me the universe's wisdom. I marveled at the stars and other heavenly bodies on the huge black wheel as it spun. A low, echoing voice's remarks were incomprehensible. The occasion was monumental. After that, I reached an entrance. A powerful figure waited at the gate. His close-cropped black hair and face reminded me of someone. "You weren't expected," he said, mouth frozen. We communicated telepathically. I said, "Well, I'm here now," surprised that my lips didn't flinch. I told the stranger I brought with me the whole way here, "You can't come in," and he asked, "Why did you bring him here?" It was not his time. Like you, I was surprised. "Listen, my friend, I demand admission," my pal said. "I intend to stay. I've arrived." The gate guard grumbled and suggested approaching a superior. "Please be patient," he said. I saw warm golden light to my left. As my right-hand man waved ahead, I saw a class of well-dressed kids learning. Their instructor was to my left, out of view. Some of the smaller kids ran over and surrounded me with great energy when they saw me. Meeting them was exhilarating, and they were happy to see me. "Return, gatekeeper. You cannot stay. You must return." "I can't. I've died," I protested as my desperation grew. "Not often, but we can get you back. Cut ties with them." This devastated me and my kids. One whimpered with disappointment. At least I heard. My friend saw my sadness. "Don't worry," he said. "Very soon, you will meet up with each of them again." The entrance guard again looked at me. "You must vow off visiting this place in the future. This is extremely crucial." I nodded, but leaving this environment made me sad. "No, this is serious," he said authoritatively. He then asked my friend to bring two people I knew. Two ancient ladies who looked like my grandmothers appeared. Their death occurred 5 or 6 years ago. My mother's mother rejoiced at seeing me, but my father's was sad. Because of the gatekeeper's request, she spoke forcefully. After a significant vow, I was forbidden to return. I consented grudgingly. As the colors and figures slowly rotated around the huge black disc, I stood there again. Low-pitched voice, "You are not ready." Afterward, I felt like all my new knowledge was being taken from me. Even though I couldn't get this information back, I worried I'd lose my small intelligence. As I pulled back to feel the breeze on my cheek and looked at the long wall flying past me, I realized I was back in the long tunnel before I died again. Moving felt thrilling and disturbing. My alarmed friends found me gasping for oxygen and prostrate on the floor. My thoughts needed to settle after what felt like an electric charge. I looked around, confused, came back. I was an adult ready to conquer the world. It was like the world's bright colors and sharp sounds were overwhelming. Even with my close friends, returning to my barracks felt weird and unreal. I kept thinking about that lovely place, which contrasted with the brutal reality around me. I wondered how I would survive the long wait to return to that exotic location. I was devastated when I had the notion. My barracks roommates gazed down at me laughing. "You woke up in 30 seconds. One said, "We thought you'd gone to sleep," and I could hear their laughter. I left my seat and meditated on my bed for the night. I recalled the disillusioned teenagers, the spinning disc, and the low, resonant voice that stated, "Your time has not yet come." After 12 years, things changed. I was a family parent. As my son and daughter played, sunset illuminated our home in gold. I decided to put them to bed. My daughter sighed happily as my son smiled at me. The faces of two of the youths I saw during my near-death incident were obvious right then. This information gave me a deep sense of onness and continuation. The incident was followed by another nudge 35 years later. A young woman and I were having a typical business meeting in my London office in 1999. Her honesty impressed me even though we had never met. She abruptly looked at me and asked, "I realize this is quite unusual, but may I inquire if you have faith in the supernatural?" To which I replied that I wanted to see where the topic went and kept an open mind. "I have several psychic abilities," she said. "A spirit, a man, is beside you. He guarantees you'll listen despite his mounting annoyance. Does he have anything to share with me?" A chill ran down my spine as I asked. Her answer was yes. "You are still waiting," he says. "You'll understand," he says. When the audience went silent, I realized the seriousness of those remarks. The golden light, quiet voices, and overpowering peace from my near-death experience returned with pinpoint accuracy. A subtle reminder of the route ahead was given. Her comments hit me like a ton of bricks, and as I sat there trying to digest them, I realized that these events weren't random. They were beacons of light directing me to deeper truths. Each occurrence and reminder deepened my understanding and resolve. Life brought happiness, misery, success, and failure. I still believed there was a greater, eternal destiny beyond this human coil. As I knew my time would come, I lived each day gratefully and concentrated on my vocation. However, much information, experience, and value could be obtained before then. The aftershocks of that life-changing meeting continued to shape my psyche, driving me to understand love, life, and the universe. This was great. Newcomers should subscribe. Much obliged.